Hey, welcome back once again to Jack's Tech Corner. I'm your host Jack, and this is a Lightroom 4 video tutorial. Now, if you enjoyed this video tutorial and you say, man, I'd like to learn more about Lightroom 4 from Jack at Jack's Tech Corner, then just stop by my website, jackstechcorner.com, and click on the link for Lightroom 4 and purchase the DVD. Or, if you'd like to, you can definitely learn online where you can get up-to-the-minute lessons and learn as long as what you want, and it's immediate. So check it out, jackstechcorner.com, and check out Lightroom 4 DVD tutorials. So today, folks, we are going to talk about selective exposure and how that works, and how we can make selective exposures and make different exposure settings while you're in Lightroom 4. Now, I do like to work in Lightroom 4, as well as many of you out there that I know, because it's a nice way to do some quick edits without having to go into Photoshop and dealing with all of that hype. It's just really, really easy. So here's a self-portrait that I worked on this morning, and took a lot of self-portraits, as you can see there in the timeline on the bottom, or in the bin. And we want to go ahead and make some selective exposure settings on this particular picture. Now, the reason I'm looking at this and saying that is because if you look at the background right back here behind my ear, you're going to see that I got some spillover from my light. Well, I don't want the background to have any light on it. It just wants it to be, I want it to be black. So that's what we want to work on. And also my shirt here, I didn't really want the shirt to be too exposed or too much light on it. And as you can see, I kept getting my softbox very high to try to feather the light in, which was working nicely, but it still casts some light on the shirt. So we're also going to work on that, but that's going to be two totally different exposure settings, and I'll show you how that's done. The first thing we're going to do here is we're going to do a quick crop just to get rid of that light box right there, the soft box. And now this is what we are working on. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and we're going to actually grab our brush tool. So we'll grab the brush, and we're going to come over here, and we're just going to start painting with our brush tool. And as you notice, the exposure setting is higher so I can see where I'm actually painting. You want to try to get in there as close as you can to the body of the person, because like I said, we're trying to darken the background down just by using some exposure settings. And then once we get that done, we're going to go ahead and blow this up. Because I've also learned in the past with exposure settings, once you start playing with your exposures against a backdrop or something you're working on, it's good to do the whole backdrop, that you can see the whole visible backdrop. Because if not, you're going to have high and low spots, or hot and cool spots. We don't want to do that. So let's go ahead here, and we're just touching this up a little bit, right in there. I'm just lowering the brush size here, and you lower your brush size by using the left and right bracket keys, just as you do in Photoshop Elements, or as you do in Photoshop. That's a handy dandy key combination I like to keep a hold of there. Okay, so once we have that taken care of and we have everything there painted over, we are going to start and take our exposure settings and start dropping the exposure settings down. Go ahead and do that now. And as you can see, we're starting to get rid of that light that I had casting on that backdrop. Now we have basically a pure black backdrop. That's what I was shooting for when I was taking these self-portraits. Now we want to go ahead and we are going to create another exposure setting on this same picture using the same type of tool, but just using it somewhere else. So let's go ahead and click on the brush tool again. Then we're going to click on it again here, or you can just click on New. And come over here to the shirt, and we're going to just start painting on the shirt. Now this is going to be more of a subtle change than that backdrop. But there's light on the shirt that I really didn't want casted on the shirt. Now we're not going to make the shirt black, although we could. But we really don't want to do that. We're just going to kind of paint the highlights there where the light is hitting the shirt. And then what we're going to do is just drop our exposure settings on that shirt just a little bit, just to make it a little darker. Again, because we want the highlights to be on the face. That's what the picture was being taken of, even though it's a self-portrait. But I always say, everybody out there, you know, when you grab that camera, you take it out of the closet, what happens? Everybody in your family runs. So sometimes self-portraits are what you get to work with, and, you know, you get to play around a lot. You don't, you know, you could be your best model. So with that said, that is the exposure settings here. So now we have two selective areas that we're exposing for. Here's one here. You can click on it, and you can see now where it's all masked in red. And you can click down here, and you can see down here where you have that exposure setting painted. So if you want another setting, we can definitely do that. Let's click on New. And this time we're just going to expose right on the cheekbone here. And right down through here a little bit. And this one I was taking these, I didn't like too much because the neck is too dark. So we'll just make another exposure setting here. And we'll just paint right around the neck here. And again, this is just going to be a very, very subtle change. You don't need too much of a change down here. So let's play with the exposure a little bit and see what we get. So you can bring that up a little bit. You can actually add a little bit of highlights maybe. Play around with that a little bit. Just add a little bit of light down in there. And if you can see a little bit that still needs added, you can click on here and add a little bit more. And take these shadows maybe up a little bit. And now you added some selective light to the actual chin or underneath the beard there to actually lighten up the neck area. Anytime you want to work on the area again to soften the shadows or to work with the exposure, all we have to do is just re-click on that area, and then we can start working on that area again. So you can see we can make it very, very black, bring it up there. And we can add to it just by simply going over here and just adding some more right in here. So if you want to add to it, that's fine. So when you're making these edits in Lightroom, that's why I like Lightroom 4, folks, because I can play around and look at it and say, well, I don't really like that area. We're going to work on this area. If you don't like the area at all, click on it and say, I don't like that area at all. Let's just hit my delete key. And it takes that effect away. It's gone. We don't have to worry about that effect any longer. So it's very easy to do these edits in Lightroom 4. If you'd like to learn even more about Lightroom 4, please check out my website, jackstechcorner.com. and pick up the DVD. It's very inexpensive, and I take you from start to editing, printing, slideshows, web, all kind of stuff. And we work together on all of the different aspects of Lightroom 4 so you would understand it even better. So thanks again for watching Jack's Tech Corner. If you're not subscribed to these YouTube channels, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. We'd love to have you as a subscriber here, and stick with us, and I'm sure we can show you even more about Lightroom, Photoshop Elements, and Photoshop down the road. So until next time, keep those shutters clicking, keep the editors editing, and I'll see you back here very soon on Jack's Tech Corner. Bye for now.